All right, everybody, today we're going to be doing our extra practice work for our chapter. We're going to start with number 17. A quick refresher first, though. Let's go ahead and learn about commutative properties. You can see over here, commutative property states that the order in which numbers are added or multiplied does not change the sum. Well, if I'm going to do this with addition, I can see that I will go ahead and have like A plus B equals B plus A. If I use numbers, it would be 6 plus 2 equals 1 plus 6. You see, we changed the order of the numbers around in commutative properties, okay? If we were going to do multiplication, I would do A times B equals B times A. Numerical example would be 7 times 3 equals 3 times 7. You see, once again, we changed the order of the numbers around, all right? And as long as we're doing addition or multiplication, commutative property states our answer will always be the same. Next, we got associative properties. And under associative properties, it says that, that the way in which the numbers are grouped when they're added or multiplied does not change. So in addition, I could say that I have A plus B plus C, and that's going to equal A plus B plus C. Do you see the way my parentheses is grouped is changed, but the order of my number is not. Numerical example would be 2 plus 3 plus 8 would equal 2 plus 3 plus 8. Again, the numbers didn't change order, just the way my parentheses grouped them. And as long as I'm doing addition or multiplication, that is going to make my answer the same. Look over here under the multiplication examples. A times B times C will equal A times B times C. The only thing that changed is the order in which my parentheses is grouped, not the order that my number is arranged. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the last thing that they want us to learn. That was the properties of identity. And the additive identity states that anything I add to 0 is going to equal itself. So additive identity, I'll always add a number to 0 and get the number. Under multiplicative identity is when any number is multiplied by 1. The product is that number. So in multiplicative identity, I'm looking for a number times 1, and that will equal the number itself. Last one is multiplicative property of 0. And under multiplicative property of 0, it means any number I multiply to 0 is going to give me 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and work our problems. Number 17. We can see here we had y times 7 equals 7 times y. We didn't group our parentheses different, right? This is not an identity thing. This is just taking the numbers and variables and turn them around. So this is going to be commutative properties, because I arranged my numbers and letters in a different order. And number 19, we have 5 plus A plus 8 equals 5 plus A plus 8. Notice the only thing to change is my parentheses, which means my associative properties is what I've done here, right? I moved my parentheses. I did not change the order of my numbers. All right, so let's move on to number 21. The time for each leg of a relay for 4 runners are shown. Use mental math to find the total time for the relay team. Well, what they're wanting us to realize here is, since we're looking for the combined total, we can add all these together and get that. But it doesn't matter what order I add them together. So some simple mental math I remember is that, well, 4 plus 6 is 10. So I can get a nice even number, okay, by going ahead and grouping these two together. So instead of going in order, I can say 12 12.4, which is Jamal's run, added to 12.6, okay, oh, sorry, 12.6. And now that is an easy mental math because I know 4 plus 6 is 10. That's going to give me 0. I'll simply carry the 1. And 2 plus 2 is 4, plus that 1 that I had left over is going to give me 5. And then I have 1 plus 1, which is 2. So I know the combined total of Jamal and George's will be 25. For those that can't do that in their head, watch over here as I work it on the side. 12.4 plus 12.6. 4 plus 6 is 10, so I put the 0 there. I carry the 1. 1 plus 2 plus 2 is 5, and 2 plus 2, or 1 plus 1 is 2, so that we get 25. Now we can group the other two, and look at that. We got 8 and 2 as the last numbers. Again, I know 8 and 2 will equal 10, so I can go ahead and group them together. So I'll say that 11.8 plus 11.2. Again, mentally I say, well, 8 plus 2 is 10, so that number is going to be 0. So I will carry the 1. So I have 1 plus 1 plus 1, which would be 3. And that'll give me 1 plus 1 over here, which is 2. So I know the combined total will be 23. For those that cannot see that, let's work it out over here. 11.8 plus 11.2. 8 plus 2 is 0. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. And 1 plus 1 is 2. Does everyone see that now? We got 23. And now we're going to simply add these together. 5 plus 3 is 8. 2 plus 2 is 4. And we know our combined total for the team then is 48 seconds. All right. Now we use the commutative property to rearrange numbers, all right? We used commutative properties. So when it says to explain, we simply say we used commutative property. To rearrange numbers. Rearrange numbers. All right, let's go to number 23. They're saying simplify each expression and justify each step. Well, if we're going to simplify these, let's go ahead and work this. First of all, got 8 plus 5 plus 6m. Well, the first thing I have to remember is I can't combine 5 plus 6m because 5 and 6m, well, they are not like terms. I have a m here stuck with the 6. I can't combine that to a number. So, but I know that they're all adding together, so I can go ahead and regroup them. And I can say that 18 plus 5 in parentheses, and then I can add that to 6m. What did I use here though? I regrouped my parentheses, so that means I use my associative properties. So let's solve that. Well, 18 plus 5. 18 plus 5 is going to give me 23. And 23 plus 6m is our new term. And that will be my final answer. There's really nothing to do from here because I can't combine these. I could say that this is associative property of addition. since all we were doing was adding here. So that's as far as we could go with number 23. Let's go to number 25 now. It says 10y times 7. Well, the first thing I can do is realize that I'm allowed to go ahead and rearrange the order, right? So I could say this is 10 times 7 times y. Okay? And that's going to be my commutative properties because I rearranged the numbers. And that'll be commutative properties of multiplication because we were multiplying. Next, I could rearrange the parentheses, right? Parentheses was around 7. And if I take my parentheses and now put it around 10 times 7, and then I can go ahead and multiply all that to y afterwards. That'll be my associative properties because I moved my parentheses to a different location. And once again, we're multiplying, so it'll be associative property of addition or multiplication. And lastly, I can solve 10 times 7, well, that's 70. And then y would go after it. And that would be the simplified version. And it's pretty much all I could do. All right, you have the rest of them. Good luck, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.